Alright, in this video I'm going to talk a little bit about using an example I gave about a woman who's doing things that just aren't right, and it's online, and people aren't telling her that. But I was using this as a hypothetical, kind of fictional, using myself as the person, and it was in a my fictional story was something about like, say somebody makes some kind of chocolate candy and sells them through their, that's their brand, and they make videos about it, and what you see is that they're doing something that's not very at all hygienic while they're making stuff that they're going to be sending to people who buy them. And also while they're talking about things they don't know what they're talking about, and putting out misinformation and even things that are like prejudice and discriminatory, and they're putting all this stuff out there that's just wrong, stereotypes of people from say this state or that state or another state, just things like that are hurtful to some people, and nobody's saying anything. Okay, that was my example. Okay, and I do like to make fictional, hypothetical, fictional, my goodness, that was funny. I invented a new word. But hypothetical, fictional kinds of scenes, and I think more people can understand them. And that was one of them. I mean, wouldn't you say something like, "Ew, gross"? And I was even saying that there's some kind of irony in that because I'm doing a video on it. But, okay, that kind of thing, I was getting to, it was a long video, I was getting to this part about when that kind of person that's doing this, and somebody is giving them constructive criticism. It's not them being mean, it's not them being hateful, it's just that they're saying, okay, that is not hygienic, and the things that you're saying are hurtful and harmful to other people. It's just simply what they see as constructive criticism. Okay, they're criticizing this person. Well, that type can be the type. Not everybody who is this would be that type. But to have their flying monkeys, some people call them narcissistic flying monkeys, like on The Wizard of Oz, the monkeys go out and do all the bad, evil stuff for the queen, and like that. And I did mention that in the video, that people would, some people would have this kind of flying monkey, and they would do that. And even that person who is doing all this would even go as far as to make a video. This has not happened, but go as far as to make a video to say, can you believe somebody had the nerve? And they would even say who it was, what is their name and or YouTube channel or whatever it is, and and get their flying monkeys to go after them. Okay, because that person's ego can't handle being told they're wrong. And they are wrong. Anybody who's food handler or anything that you're going to be selling to other people are going to be, having their home, and they're using it or eating it or whatever. Yeah, you don't want somebody who's lacking in hygiene. Okay, and I'm talking like, things like rubbing their whole face, rubbing their eyes, rubbing their nose, no gloves, no, I mean, even if you're wearing gloves, you shouldn't be rubbing your eyes and your nose and your mouth and your hair and your, ears or whatever, and then touching product. Seriously. It's not my rule. Although it would be if I made the rule, but it's already there in place. There are laws. I would think there's laws against this, food handlers and stuff. Yeah. People who, yeah. But anyway, I don't know. I can't say 100%, and where you live it might be different. But anyway, this whole point was about, this video. One of the main points is about when they send these people after you. And they might not even send the people after you. No, they're not saying, hey, I want you to go after this person. No, they're just doing a video and saying, oh, they're playing the victim. oh, so-and-so did this to me, and they said this rude stuff to me, and I just had a cold that, I just didn't know that day, or I had a cold that day, and I usually don't do that, and whatever it is, they might not even admit to any part of having any guilt. They might just say that person is delusional when it's right there on video. But yeah, they're going to find some way to, that hurt they have in them, that somebody dared to tell them they're wrong. They're going to make sure somebody out there in the world pays for it. If not the person they have at home, which they might do that, cause that person some kind of, pain too, problem, whatever. But they also they're angry at the world at this point, and they don't care who they take it out on. They want more than one, especially when they get older, I think. And maybe I'm wrong on that. Okay. But they want the whole world to see and feel their rage. I don't know why my car's doing that. But see and feel their rage that somebody dared to tell them they were wrong. Dared to tell them how to do something, and it can be done discreetly. That person did it discreetly. Maybe the person just sent them an email. Nobody else is going to see the email. Nobody. But that person that they send it to, the one that's doing wrong, is going to let the world know that somebody did that privately and make a big deal at it. They don't care if I call these more histrionic than I call it Narcissistic-Histrionic blend, when I've seen this, and I'm not diagnosing just the behaviors. Okay. And I also mentioned, that, I've seen these behaviors, and that's what I do, that they don't care if the attention they get is negative or positive, or maybe even some people say, well, you do that, and then they might say, oh, they might act all humble, oh, or, like, okay, yeah, I should be more careful, but I was just sick that day. They're going to excuse it off. And F at all. But in the meanwhile, they got all this attention. Didn't matter if it's negative, positive. They got all that attention. And also, then their flying monkeys would go around, there's a good chance. I'm not saying it always happens. It might. But they go around ensuring that the person who actually said, hey, this is not good, and what you're doing, maybe you should stop that, or you should stop that. But they put it in a very polite way. Those flying monkeys are going to come flying in and hurt that person as much as possible. Say negative things about them, pointing out their flaws. We all have flaws. We all have flaws. But the one who's doing the flaws in this scenario doesn't. They don't believe they have any flaws. So then it needs to be pointed out that the other person does, the one without the flaws. And they might even say that, hey, that's a projection on that person's part. I'm saying that the one who does actually have the flaws says the other person is the one who's projecting. Because they're going to go out and seek out every flaw that a person has. I'm laughing at this because I've seen this craziness. I've seen this, I shouldn't call it craziness. When I was a student, we don't use that word crazy. But yeah, to me, it's craziness. I've seen this kind of stuff that they cannot have a bruise or any even a little pinprick to their ego. Oh, hell no. They're going to have to, it's a hell hath no fury, and they're going to make sure everybody in the world knows that they were done so wrong when they're doing wrong. Yeah. Okay, and I want to do something on the flip side of this too, is the person, and I kind of mentioned that in that video too, is say that person was always being told they're wrong. Okay, was maybe they did it once or twice or something, but really not. Yeah. But they're living a life where there's somebody who is always telling them they're wrong. Now, we can't use that one as an example because the whole thing of food handling and all that is wrong no matter what. Okay, we can't make excuses for that. It's wrong. Abusing other people is wrong. Just because you're abused doesn't give you a license to go out and abuse others. That's the problem. That's many people say that, like any cluster B or something, the people with those behaviors, or the people who are actually diagnosed, that the big problem could be that they were abused, so they go out and abuse other people. Okay, no, it doesn't give a person a license because you're abused. Some take that as though they have a license, but anyway, but say it's a person who's not out there abusing. Say that a person isn't doing any of these things wrong, but not saying anything wrong, not hurting anybody or anything like that. But then they do something wrong, and somebody points it out. Maybe it's somebody who is abusive points it out. And that's why I say flip side of all that. And maybe some people say, okay, we need to tell this person, that one thing that they're doing, that they're doing that wrong. But here it is. They know that this person lives with somebody who's always telling them they're wrong, or is around somebody, a boss. You're practically living with your bosses and your coworkers, and if you work full time or more, you probably spend a lot of waking hours with them as you would at home. Waking hours. But so you're dealing with somebody who's constantly that person is dealing with somebody who's constantly telling them they're wrong. That's bad. That's very abusive. The person can feel like they're losing themselves to, they don't know who they are anymore. They've lost their identity because they know they're not doing all of this wrong, but somebody's always telling them they're wrong. And some people can handle it and say, no, I'm not. But in that kind of situation, constructive criticism, is it a good idea? They may need that, but is it a good idea? They're not doing when they're not doing anything wrong, but they just made one mistake overall, just one mistake. Is it a good thing when you know that they have been dealing with somebody who always says they're wrong? So that's two different kind of situations, two different scenes. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up. I think I've said enough on this topic, and I'm just curious how other people see it, what they would do, what they would think, how they would handle it. And I was adding a little more to the other video because it got kind of long, but I'm going to start doing them more, because summing things up in 5 to 10 minutes is not that good. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this one up, though. Talk to y'all later.